St. Pat.
Mom, tell me you didn't do this. Tell me what really happened. No.
Go to school.
No.
Live your life.
So Tasha is the only one of a number of characters left from the OG Power series, but with the consequences of her past and Ghost and Tommy's actions, she was left fighting a Queenpin charge and forced to go into witness protection. But it was also because the actor Notori Norton was moving to a new show called Queens. But recently they announced Queens has been scrapped by ABC. Now of course, another network can always pick up the show, but with the cancellation, could we see Tasha's return as more of a regular on Power Book 2 Ghost? Because after all, she does have unfinished business with both Tariq and Tommy. Now we also spoke about a big shift and how someone important in Tariq's life will make him choose between the boardroom and the streets. So could Tasha be that someone? Because she's felt and seen the consequences of the game and what it's done to the St. Patrick's. Now it would also make for an interesting battle between Tasha and the TASHAS if she did return. But with that being said, let's run through a brief history of Tasha's character so we know where we are and just how they can integrate her back into the story if they do decide to have a return in Season 3. Now at the end of Power, the St. Patrick's were broken beyond repair and she was trying to salvage what was left by saving Tariq by getting rid of Ghost.
Wait, let me tell you something. Sometimes you gotta turn somebody in to get them out your way. Your father taught me that.
And this is a lesson I think Tariq will take on board and something he may use in the future, getting rid of someone to get them out of your way, because I'm sure he'll come across someone he needs to get rid of, for example Kane, if he continues to be a problem for him. Now unfortunately for Tasha, her plan of directing law enforcement to Terry Silver's body, hoping Ghost would be sent down for the murder, failed to work. She then found out Ghost was planning to turn Tariq in for Ray Ray's murder, along with threatening to turn her in for Lakeisha. Now this left her with one option, killing Ghost. But she planned to kill Ghost and frame Quinton using his gun, but that plan failed to work because he had an alibi, and Tasha was arrested at the end of Power, leaving Tariq, Yasmin and Grandma Estelle all on their own. So as we moved into Power Book 2 Ghost Season 1, we were picking up 72 hours after Power, with Tariq now at Stansfield, Yasmin now under the care of Grandma Estelle, and Tasha in her orange jumpsuit fighting the murder charges of Ghost. And we really saw this vulnerable side from Tasha where she had to stay strong to protect Tariq. But all her lies had a snowball effect which ended up with her firing Tamika and hiring the biggest defense attorney in New York, Davis McLean. Now of course, there was no way she was going to drop Tariq's name in court and everybody else she could name was either dead or had an alibi, so she could only really drop one name.
The man who killed James St. Patrick is Tommy Egan.
But Tasha's murder charges quickly turned into the Kingpin statute, or in Tasha's case, Queenpin, because Stephen R and John Mack wanted to keep James St. Patrick's double life a secret, and they were using Tasha as a fall guy. Now we saw this cat and mouse game between Davis McLean and Cooper Sachs, with Tasha really powerless, and Tasha was powerless because she was trying to protect her son without revealing the full truth to Davis McLean. So Tasha was running out of choices to make, so she asked Tariq to commit yet another murder with Tamika and later on Epiphany as well, to save himself, which is quite ironic because they would never have been in this mess if Tariq didn't kill Ghost. But she was asking Tariq because she now knew he was a killer. But regardless of being a killer, we saw throughout Season 1 how Tariq needed Tasha. She was still his go-to for advice when it came to Effie, when it came to him being almost killed by Bars, and when it came to a court case. And this was the difference between Tasha's parenting and Lorenzo's, where Tasha was there for Tariq as a mother. Lorenzo was acting like more of a leader, treating Kane as a soldier, wanting his kids and his wife to play their positions, and we also saw them clash because of how Lorenzo threatened Tariq. But with Tasha still up against it in terms of her case, and with Tariq being called to the stand, we really saw things going full circle, with Tariq hiring Tamika, and ironically it was Tamika who helped Tasha even though she fired her in the first episode of Season 1. Now she was the mastermind behind Tariq blowing up Sachs in court, and with Stephen R determined to keep James St. Patrick's double life a secret, they used Tommy as a fall guy, and it was always going to come back full circle with Tommy's return. So it was the moment where Tasha told Monet she wants Tariq out of the game, which ironically this is exactly what she should have allowed Ghost to do at the beginning of Power, because they really would have saved themselves a lot of heartbreak and loss of loved ones. But this was the moment Tommy returned because he got wind of Tasha snitching, but we saw Tariq helping him fake his death so he wouldn't kill his mom. Of course, there was just way too much bad blood for Tommy to let any of it go, so Tariq knew he had to make the move to send Tasha to Witzeg, with Tommy making his way to Chicago. So as we come into season 2, Tariq was now all alone, with the person he was able to lean on throughout much of season 1 was gone. And we constantly saw him looking at his phone, hoping Tasha would message, but he had to make the man's move and he had to toss the phone, just like Kanan told him in his hallucination. So he had to accept the fact he was the one who killed Ghost and sent Tasha into WITSEC, and he was also the reason why he finds himself in the position he did. But he had no time to dwell on the past. He had to step up and look after Yasmin, and this was Tariq's biggest weakness in season 2, something Monet tried to exploit in episode 5. But just like in season 1 with how they teased Tommy's return, they did the same thing with Tasha, and it was always going to come full circle. So at the end of Power Book 2 Ghost season 2, we saw Tasha return, and it does seem like she was studying for an accounting qualification, something she never finished before she married Ghost. It was a very subtle hint with the practical accounting book on the table, and a nod to her life before she met Ghost. So just keep that in mind because we're going to come back to this in just a moment. But she was reunited with Yasmin, and even though Tamika said she needs to forget about anybody who's not there, meaning Tariq, she knew Tariq was in the car. But this is all we saw from Tasha in season 2. So going forward into season 3, we all know Yasmin has the phone Tariq gave her in episode 3. So compared to last season, Tariq now has a way to contact his mom. And I do think with Tasha being on the other side of the phone and her Queen's show being cancelled, we could very well see Tasha playing more of a role than we first thought. But the question is, how? Now, we all know Tasha's family is broken because of this drug game. We also saw her studying for her accounting exams again. And one thing Tasha wants Tariq to do is leave the game behind him. And this is actually one way she could show Tariq there is another way and it's not too late. It's also been teased someone will have a big influence in his decision in choosing the boardroom or the streets, and this could very well be Tasha. But can Tariq leave the game? And will he be able to, because we don't know what position he's gonna be in season 4 or 5. Because we all saw what happened to Ghost. After Felipe Lobos, there was Milan, then there was Jason Michich, and then there was trouble with law enforcement. So it's not gonna be easy for Tariq. Now another intriguing element with Tasha is with the TASHAS if they cross paths again. Because we know where Tasha stands, and we also know where Monet stands. They want their families out of the game, but there is no way the TASHAS are gonna let Tariq walk away, because he is the main man in their organization. Now the TASHAS aren't the only problem, Tommy Egan is another, because if he gets wind of Tasha coming back out in the open from WITSEC, you can bet he's gonna be back to try and finish the job he came to do in season 1 of Ghost. And let's not forget, it was also teased by Ray Ray in Tariq's hallucination.
Tommy's gonna get your mama.
And this really is something we need to keep in the back of our minds, because this is something I expect to come full circle. Maybe not in season 3 because it is too soon, but a reunion with Tommy, Tariq and Tasha will definitely happen in the future. So that's the history of Tasha from the end of Power to the present day, and how Queen's being cancelled could bring her back over to be a regular on Power Book 2 Ghost again. So drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section on a potential return of Tasha. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 2 Ghost and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.